How to apply hair color and lighteners. Learning objectives. 1. Outline the steps of hair color and lightening applications for preliminary strand tests to a single process and a double process with lightener. Apply hair color and lighteners. To ensure efficient, safe, and successful results when performing hair coloring services, follow a clearly defined application system. Without such a plan, the work will take longer, results may be uneven, and mistakes may be made. The first step to a successful hair coloring service is your consultation and formulation. The second step is proper application and product saturation. Permanent and demi-permanent hair colors can be applied by either the bowl and brush method or the applicator bottle method, depending on the product's viscosity. As a general rule, products with a thicker viscosity should be applied with an applicator brush. Product with a thinner viscosity should be applied with an applicator bottle. Use a non-metallic mixing bowl. Measure and add the developer into the bowl. Add the selected hair color or hair colors in the appropriate proportions. Using a plastic whisk, stir the mixture until it is completely blended. Do not use an applicator brush to mix color. Color/developer can be unevenly deposited into the bristles, altering your formulation and application. It will also need to be fully cleaned, rinsed, and dried before application use. Use an applicator brush to apply hair color to the hair. Measuring tools. Formulation will have a set ratio of color to developer. The only way to ensure formulation accuracy is to measure. You can measure in ounces, milliliters, or grams. Many supply stores sell measuring cups, applicator bottles, and coloring tubes with visible measuring lines. However, measuring with a scale is the most precise way to measure, and it allows you to mix very small amounts to prevent product waste. When using a measuring cup or bottle, rest the cup on a flat, even surface for accuracy. Applicator bottle. Ensure that the applicator bottle is large enough to hold both the hair color and developer processing catalyst with enough airspace to gently rock with the bottle back and forth until the mixture is thoroughly combined. For a 1-to-1 ratio, pour 1 ounce 30 milliliters of the hair color into the bottle, add 1 ounce 30 milliliters of developer, put the applicator nozzle back on the bottle and shake gently. For a 1-to-2 ratio, pour 1 ounce 30 milliliters of the hair color into the bottle, add 2 ounces 60 milliliters of developer, and mix. The latter ratio is for more permanent highlight blonde hair colors. Always refer to the manufacturer's instructions for mixing ratio. Patch test and strand test. Before beginning any hair color service, a patch test will help determine whether your client may have allergies or sensitivities to the hair color mixture. The U.S. Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act requires that a patch test be given 24 to 48 hours before each application of hair color formulated with aniline derivative dyes. Once you have created a hair color formula for your client, test it on a few small hair strands. This preliminary strand test determines how the hair will react to the hair color formula and how long the formula should be left on the hair. The strand test is performed after the client is prepared for hair coloring service. Procedure 16-1, preliminary patch test and strand test. There are many temporary hair color application methods depending on the product used. You may apply colored gels, waxes, foams, or sprays at your workstation after your client has been shampooed or at the shampoo bowl after the hair has been towel dry. Always use and apply these hair color products according to the manufacturer's directions. Porous and curly hair will absorb color, but if you find the application is dissipating, add more color for better saturation. Your instructor will help you interpret these guidelines. Be sure to alert your client that temporary hair color products are easily transferred to any material the client's hair comes into contact with. This coloring service also only lasts from shampoo to shampoo. If the client gets their hair wet or if it rains, the color will bleed onto their clothing and skin. During the application process, If any color spills on the skin, apply water to a towel and remove the excess coloring product to prevent staining. If the product has always stained the skin and cannot be removed by gently rubbing the area with a damp towel, use a color removing product. It's good practice to always keep a color removing product on standby, ready for use. Semi-permanent hair color application. The application process for a semi-permanent hair color is similar to a demi-permanent hair color application with a rinse after the desired processing time. Always use and apply these hair color products according to the manufacturer's directions. When selecting a semi-permanent hair color, remember that hair color applied on top of existing color always creates a deeper hair color and can alter the tone. Because semi-permanents are deposit only, hair color can build up on the hair with repeated applications. A strand test will help determine the formula and processing time before the service. Caution. Colorist dermatitis involves the same types of negative reactions to products as a client may experience. Since a colorist's hands are in a constant contact with chemical solutions, protect yourself by wearing gloves until the hair color product is completely removed from the client's hair. Demi-permanent hair color application. The application process for a demi-permanent hair color with an acidic or alkaline pH is similar to that of a traditional permanent hair color. Hair that has previously received a hair color service will have a greater degree of porosity, which must also be considered when formulating a demi-permanent hair color. Consult the manufacturer's guidelines for application and processing time for the selected product. Single process hair coloring is the application of one color to your client's hair. If this is the first time your client will be coloring their hair, then it is called a virgin color service. If your client has never received any artificial pigment on the hair, then the client is considered a virgin to hair coloring services. Even if a client receives a temporary color, their hair may not be virgin, depending on the porosity and cuticle position of the hair. Be sure to perform the patch test and strand test. For both applications, follow the same preparation steps for the virgin single process procedure. Include a consolation and, if required, a patch test. Steps for applying hair color to new growth and faded ends. 1. Apply hair color to the new growth only, being careful not to overlap on previously colored hair. Overlapping can cause breakage in a line of demarcation, which is the visible line separating colored hair from new growth. 2. Process hair color according to your analysis and strand test results. 3. Bringing permanent hair color through the ends to refresh faded color can cause unnecessary hair damage. Instead, formulate a demi-permanent hair color for the mid-shafts and ends to match their new growth. Work the demi-permanent hair color through the ends and allow it to remain for a few minutes. Then shampoo and condition. Remember that the same color formula used with different volumes of peroxide will produce different results. As the hair grows, you will need to apply hair color to the new growth to keep it looking attractive and to avoid a two-tone effect. This is called a retouch or a touch-up. The procedure for applying hair color to new growth and to refresh faded ends also includes applying a glaze that coats the hair with a semi-permanent hair color and shine, or a gloss that contains the oxidative dyes and adds extreme shine to hair. The challenge in recent years has been that manufacturers use the term glaze and gloss interchangeably. You can shift through these marketing misnomers by reading the labels. Do not pull permanent color through to the ends. Doing so will cause dry, damage, dullness, and possible breakage. Always use a semi or demi-permanent with color to refresh the ends. Lightener application. If your client has not had previous color and their hair presents its natural color, then the process you will undertake is called a virgin lightener. A virgin lightener is basically a technique in which the bleach/lightener is applied to the midshaft, the scalp, and then to the ends. If the client has previous hair color but has not received lightener, then the lightening service may or may not be called a virgin lightener. Before performing a lightener service, note that the hair reacts differently to the removal of pigment/melanin versus the deposit of pigment. This can make the lightening application tricky. If your client previously received a lightener service, always consult the client's hair service record card for information about which lightener formulas were used, including the timing to achieve the desired results and any other factors that could affect the service. Time factors. Lightening processing time will be determined by the following. Melanin. The darker the natural hair color, the more melanin it has, and the longer it takes to lighten the color. Porosity. Porous hair of the same color level will lighten faster than non-porous hair because the lightening agent can enter the cortex more rapidly. Tone. The greater the percentage of red reflected in a natural color, the more difficult it is to achieve the delicate shades of a pale blonde. Ash blondes are especially difficult to achieve because the melanin must be diffused sufficiently to alter both the level and the underlying tone. Time factors. Lightening processing time will be determined by the following. Melanin. The darker the natural hair color, the more melanin it has, and the longer it takes to lighten the color. Porosity. Porous hair of the same color level will lighten faster than non-porous hair because the lightening agent can enter the cortex more rapidly. Tone. The greater the percentage of red reflected in a natural color, the more difficult it is to achieve the delicate shades of a pale blonde. Ash blondes are especially difficult to achieve because the melanin must be diffused sufficiently to alter both the level and the underlying tone. Product strength. Stronger lighteners produce pale shades in the fastest time. However, they can be more damaging to the hair. Consider the client's hair condition before choosing a lightener that may be too strong to maintain the hair integrity. Manufacturer's instructions. You must adhere to a lightener's processing time. Once lightener has reached its maximum processing time, wash it off regardless of the hair's colors. If more lightening is desired, redo it. Standard manufacturer's processing time is between 50 and 60 minutes. Caution. In all procedures requiring a towel to check for lightening levels, ensure that the towel is damp. Blot, do not rub the strand. Rubbing could roughen the cuticle, giving a false reading for the entire process. Lightener and double process color application. New growth becomes obvious as the hair grows. When performing a retouch, always lighten the new growth first. For the regrowth application, the mixture is applied only to the new growth as long as the growth is 0.5 inch long or less. When the new growth is longer than 0.5 inch, it can cause bands in the hair. Clients who want to have all over bleached hair will need retouches and should be informed that this may require services every 3 to 5 weeks to maintain an even tone. Smaller subsections may be required to ensure saturation. A cream lightener is generally used for a lightener retouch because it is less irritating to the scalp, and its consistency helps prevent overlapping of previously lightened hair. Overlapping can cause severe breakage and demarcation lines. Remember that pre-stretching may be required for ease of application on curly and coil hair. This will allow for better sectioning and saturation. Patch test and strand test. Here's a tip. A darker natural hair color indicates the hair contains more melanin. The more melanin the hair has, the longer it will take the lightener to lift the cuticle to enter the cortex. Caution. When heat is used with hair lighteners, it softens the hair and makes it more fragile. Excessive heat increases the reaction rate, swells the hair, and can lift and crack the cuticle and break bonds within the cortex. For the safest results, never use an outside heat source when processing lighteners. Lightener retouch. New growth becomes obvious as the hair grows. When performing a retouch, always lighten the new growth first. For the regrowth application, the mixture is applied only to the new growth as long as the growth is 0.5 inch long or less. When the new growth is longer than 0.5 inch, it can cause bands in the hair. Clients who want to have all over bleached hair will need retouches and should be informed that this may require services every 3 to 5 weeks to maintain an even tone. Smaller subsections may be required to ensure saturation. A cream lightener is generally used for a lightener retouch because it is less irritating to the scalp and its consistency helps prevent overlapping of previously lightened hair. Overlapping can cause severe breakage and demarcation lines. Remember that pre-stretching may be required for ease of application on curly and coily hair. This will allow for better sectioning and saturation.